The young man trudged along the empty road, his breath puffing like smoke in the frigid night air, the faint crunch of gravel beneath his boots, the only sound in the still night. His grandparents' house was miles from anywhere, and while the route home was short, it cut through a stretch of desolate land. Boarded-up homes with broken windows lined the road, their darkened silhouettes hunched like forgotten sentinels. Surrounding these sagging, abandoned homes were wild, untamed wood, its inky blackness in no way compromised by the light of the moon shining down upon them. In his hand, a flashlight cast a narrow beam of light, carving a fragile path through the oppressive darkness, its glow reassuring as it illuminated the gravel path ahead. He had made this walk many times before, but tonight the air felt heavier. The night was unnaturally quiet. No rustle of leaves, no chirp of crickets, just the rhythmic crunch of his boots on the gravel. Even the wind was absent, leaving only the distant rustle of unseen things in the woods. The air carried a strange, musky scent, something earthy and faintly metallic. It made his stomach twist. Halfway home, the flashlight flickered. It was brief, just a momentary dimming, but enough to make him stop. He frowned at the device, shaking it as if that would fix whatever was wrong. The batteries were fresh. He'd checked them before leaving. The light flickered again. The road seemed darker now, as if the surrounding shadows had crept closer. He shone the flashlight toward the trees, then at the abandoned houses on either side. Their broken doors and empty windows stared back at him, lifeless. A shiver crawled up his spine. The musky odor returned, stronger this time, and with it came a faint sound, a crunch of gravel, distant but distinct. He froze, the hair on his neck standing on end. "Hello?" he called out, his voice barely louder than a whisper. The sound of his own voice made him feel smaller. There was no reply. He turned and resumed walking, quicker now, his breath coming faster. The flashlight trembled in his grip, and the pale beam swayed erratically. His pulse thudded in his ears, but over it, he heard something else. Footsteps. Soft at first, then louder. They weren't his. He turned again, the flashlight jerking to illuminate the path behind him. The road was empty, but just beyond the reach of the light, something moved. A shadow that seemed too large, too fluid, to be human. He caught only a glimpse before it slipped back into the darkness. Panic seized him. He broke into a jog, his breaths sharp and ragged. "Is someone there?" he shouted, his voice echoing off the crumbling walls of the abandoned homes. Only silence answered. The light faltered again, dimming and flickering before sputtering back to life. The footsteps grew louder, heavier, as though whatever was following him had quickened its pace. He called out for help, his voice cracking. "Help, please, someone." The houses around him were dark and hollow, their residents long gone. No lights appeared in the windows, no voices called back. His cries vanished into the void. The flashlight flickered longer this time, the beam dimming to almost nothing. The acrid smell filled his nostrils, and a low, guttural growl rumbled from the shadows. He didn't dare look back again. He broke into a full sprint, his feet pounding the gravel as he pushed himself harder. The houses blurred past him, his gaze fixed on the faint glow of his home's porch light in the distance. He was so close, maybe a few hundred feet away. The flashlight went out completely. The darkness was absolute. The pounding footsteps behind him turned into a gallop, impossibly fast. He screamed. The sound ripped from his throat, but there was no one to hear. Claws raked across his back, and he fell, his body skidding against the gravel. Pain flared through him, and he tried to scramble forward, but it was too late. The thing stepped into view, towering over him. Its golden eyes glowed like embers, and its body was a mass of sinewy muscle and dark, matted fur. A werewolf. Its jaws parted, revealing gleaming teeth, slick with saliva. He barely had time to scream again before it struck, its massive jaws closing around him. The porch light of his home flickered in the distance, faint and unreachable, before the night swallowed everything. The road fell silent once more.